What's going on? Welcome to another video. Today in this video, we'll be installing 2 gauges for my G35. This is my VQ. Let's do it, a little cold start. Oh, didn't do it this time. Whatever. Good VQ. For those who don't know, I am at 173k miles. I've been trying to blow this motor up, but it just won't blow. Anyways, we did get this pod right here. I got this gauge pod around $50, I believe, 50 to 60, around there. I'll leave the link down below. To remove this, there's a little metal bracket on this side, so just make sure you just pop that out, and then it just come off. And it just pops in, literally just pops in, just like that. We're only getting oil pressure and then oil temp. For those who don't know, last event at Sonoma, I did hit the wall, just the tip. It kind of bent it back a little bit, but it did mess up my bumper. But I'm waiting on for this bumper to fail on me or anything to crack, and then we'll probably put like a new kit on this car. But she looks good. Everything looks good so far. All right, let's get to work. Let's go ahead and remove the skid plate. Alright, so before we do any work, let's go ahead and unbox these. Yeah, this is oil temp, so you can't really see it, but this is the 1A27. Plug for the bracket. We won't be needing this. We will be needing this. This is for ground and the power. And then this is for the connector for this one right here. Should be pretty simple. The only annoying part is routing it. So these are different. So this is 1/8, and this is for sure the oil pressure where we'll be tapping into. So all right, so it's my thermostatic plate. For those who are running this plate, it does have a port right here and a port right in the middle, which is weird. I'm not sure why they did it that way, especially how the lines are running. So what we did, we removed the oil filter. And then we are gonna loosen this right here, put the sensor up there so we can turn it on. You can run an adapter, I think it's called 1/4 PNT, I believe. It goes into 1 to 2 ports. So, but we don't have that. So what we'll be doing is, right here will be our oil temp sensor for the sandwich plate. And then we'll be using the oil pressure, this one here. We'll be tapping into this one. And this is a thermostatic plate, which means it's like a thermostat. So once the oil is operating temp, this would open. For those who are not running it, you're just overcooling your engine, which is pretty bad. All right, so here's what we're doing. We remove the old oil pressure sensor from the OEM one, and we go ahead and put the sensor that we received from GlowShift. Make sure you guys don't make it too tight. You guys could crack it or strip it. Wrap the other sensor, which this is gonna be the oil temp sensor, and then this is the oil pressure sensor. So it does go in right here, just turn it on, and then just put everything back together. But we do have to make the wires a bit longer, so let me just go ahead and put everything in really fast. All right, so we've zip tied the wire. Should be fine right there. The sensor is on the sandwich plate, so we for sure are gonna have to extend the wire. Now I'll show you guys what the wire means. All right, so this is for the oil temp gauge. It's pretty simple. We have 6 wires. So the yellow one is a constant source, red is for ignition, orange is for the headlights, black is the ground. So the black, we're gonna have to extend it and put it to a ground somewhere, and then tap into the little connector that plugs into here. Green is oil temperature signal. So the sensor has 2 wires, one for the ground. So the sensor has 2 wires, one's for the ground, one's for the signal, which is the green and white should connect. And then for the oil pressure, pretty much the same method. Yellow, constant source, red for ignition, orange to the headlight source, and then black to ground. Here's a quick update. We have extra wires. We're gonna go ahead and extend the wires. I'll show you guys what wires I touch, what wires I extended. And this is on a sedan, so it is longer. And depends how you route it on the gauges. We'll make it nice and neat. All right, so today's the day. I had to do something last night, but let's go finish the gauges. So what we're doing here, all my wires are black. That's the only ones I had. But what I did is I marked them to see which ones they are. So like for example, this would be H, these would be headlights, ground, and then power. When you route these, you could do it however how you want it. We're just gonna do it by the inner fender. So usually some people, they usually run it from the under and connect it towards the sway bar, and then there is a grommet for the hood latch cable from right here. You can do it anyway, so it doesn't matter. I'm doing it this way, short and simple, just because my gauge is gonna be right here. But we did have to remove a couple plastics at the pillar right here. Yeah, we're just gonna route it and I'll show you guys once everything's all cleaned up. All right, quick update. Need these fuse tap. We got two, one for the content source and one for ignition. And then of course the headlight, we could just tap into one of the headlights from the low beam. All right, so everything is all wired in. We use a fuse tap. So on the G35, this is the 04, we use the ignition. We tap into the ignition for the gauge. And then we tap into the battery for 10A amp electrical parts. This is all on. And then this is how we routed it. All we gotta do is just organize it. We use heat shrink. And then this is how I routed it. So let's go ahead and test it. Moment of truth. Nice. All right, so organizing the wiring. Here's what the fuses I tap into. This is right here. Top left is gonna be ignition, and this one's gonna be like the main power. We just zip tied it, electrical tape everywhere, and we just snugged her up. Right here in the middle. The door could close perfectly fine. Forgot to say, we did put 10 fuses. For the fuses, I recommend putting a 5, but 10 should do. All right, so the headlight power is on. As you can see, this is with the on, off, on, off, on, off. This one's gonna be, so there's 3 wires from the harness, and we did it before the connector. The black and red wire, and then the connector for the output is gonna be green. So green from this side, pin number 2, and this is pin number 2 as well. So that's for the low beam. That's what I'll be tapping into. All right, so the interior is done. We're gonna go ahead and put the 3M so it secures the gauge. All right, so everything's all buttoned up. Let's go ahead and test it. It's pretty good to me. Don't reach too far. And just like that, this is operating temp. Oil pressure is looking good. At full startup, it was at 80, and then my oil temp is at 180. Everything works perfectly fine. All right, so I'm gonna give you guys a little quick walkthrough of how I routed it. So pretty much I routed towards the interior, and then I ran it towards the inner fender from right there. And also remove this pillar so you can have access towards the wiring to grab it from the inside of the vents. So it makes it easier. So pretty much it goes from here, and then it goes from under this tiny hole right there, and then I zip tied it all around. This wire is for the headlight for the low beam. These 2 wires are for the oil temp. Goes from under the intake boot, and then this wire right here is for the oil pressure. I zip tied it all around. Pretty simple. I follow the same route as the alternator, so it doesn't get really hot on the wires. I also did forgot to mention, showing on the picture below, those 2 wires from the ground from both gauges. I went ahead and set 2 wires into a ring terminal, and I went ahead and found a good ground next to the ABS module and set it right there, and everything worked perfectly fine on a good grounding spot. Yeah, you really do gotta extend the wires. All right, so here's how it looks. The sensor is all zip tied up from the top one, and then the oil pressure is right here. No leaks. Just make sure you guys put telephone tape on it. Wasn't too bad install. I'm just gonna go ahead and put the skid plate and then go for a test drive. Made it try to look OEM as much as I can. I follow the holes from right here, and then just put it in the grommet from right there. Not too bad. On a test drive, car. My honest review about these gauges is not too bad. You can change colors. They also have like a color mode, which is pretty cool. But overall, I give it a 9 out of 10. Not bad, it's pretty cheap, and they work just fine. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you guys like the video, comment if you guys have any questions, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.